Hello, YouTube and valued viewers. Byron at Splitting Slices. Welcome back to the Knife and EDC channel. Today is Saturday, a rainy Saturday here in central Indiana, but it's August 1st, 2026, and that means it's time to do our part two of a three-part open tag series started by Knife Chats with Tobias called 3x3 Knives. The simple goal, show 3 knives in 3 consecutive days, but you must have at least a fixed blade, a slip joint, and a modern locking folder in the 3. I think we can do that. Let's get into it. Before we take a look at the fixed blade of this knife, I'm going to quickly introduce the other 2 knives, but it's all because of the title that I'm calling this episode, Preposterous Proportions. Let's get into it. The slip joint is this little gem right here. This is the Rough Rider 2647 30th anniversary jumbo 8-inch trapper. We'll take a look at this in detail in a few minutes, but for now we're going to set it aside to make room for this small little fixed blade we'll talk about here in a second, but not before I introduce this mega large modern locking folder. This is the Rough Rider 2313 Tadpole. Now, it has some other nicknames in the knife community, such as the Grumpy Gherkin, but I think its most famous name is the Angry Watermelon. Big Red EDC used this as kind of a mascot knife for a couple years, and this little gem we'll take a look at here in a few minutes. But first, we're going to talk about the tiny little fixed blade we've got on the table. Now, as tiny as this is, this used to be the biggest knife that Work Tough Gear produced, but they have about a dozen or so knives bigger than this now. But we're going to talk about this one anyway, because at the time it was the biggest they had, and I said, yep, I want one of those for the wall. Always wanted a big bowie. I got me a big bowie. Let's open this up out of the beautiful taco style sheath. We have glistening in oil, because I oiled this little baby before we brought it on. It was time to give it this SK85 carbon steel blade a little oil and a wipe down. But looks like I still got a couple little tiny rust spots there. I need to address those after the video with maybe a little Scotch-Brite pad and additional oiling. This is the Work Tough Gear Puzon Wilderness Bowie number 9. 9 standing for the length of the blade. The blade length on this is 9.3 inches long. The overall length, including the handle from tip to pommel, is 16.5 inches. It is SK85 carbon steel. We have a cutting edge of 9.25 inches. Blade thickness is 0.23 inches, nearly a 1/4 inch thick of blade stock material. This has a saber grind with a convex ground edge. So this makes not only an excellent survivor or survival and hunter blade, but is also built for chopping with that convex edge. So it really is an all-round, all-purpose outdoors knife. You just got to get over the size. It weighs 1 pound 11 ounces or 2 pounds 2 ounces in its sheath. Now, this was designed by ex-MMA fighter Dave Puzon, who I believe is an Indiana native, and he has designed several other knives since this with Work Tough Gear, including the Wilderness Bowie number 7 and a pocket EDC Bowie as well. All right. This retails, when you could get it, it retailed for around $250. I believe now if you can get them, you'll pay somewhere maybe around $200 to $225, but I think you'll have to go to the secondary. They may come out with a third run of these. I believe they have had 2 generational runs of this design, but they've kind of moved on to either smaller or bigger knives than this. So this is kind of now the mid-range of the Work Tough Gear product line, if you can believe that. But this is the Puzon Wilderness Bowie number 9. Now, let's go ahead and talk about beautiful Kydex sheath. Drain hole locks in really well. But we got to talk about this ultra large modern locking folder. Again, this is the Tadpole. Now, this has since been produced by the parent company of Smoky Mountain Knife Works in about 6 or 7 different configurations, including, I believe, a Angry Bee, an Angry Plum, and we have the Tater Skin, and I think the latest one is the Rough Rider 2603. It's a glow-in-the-dark lightning bug version. So just a nice little fun pocket carry that you can use to cut ties with, you could cut paper with, open up letters, just to have a little tiny blade on you. It has a lanyard hole. It is spring assisted flipper, so that little blade snaps out with authority. And yeah, it's just a fun little knife to have. And this originally ran, you could get them for $9.99, but I think they're up around $16, $17 now. I cannot find this version in stock, but many of the other variants are currently in stock at either SMKW or Chicago Knife Works if you're interested. Makes a nice little gift knife, a fun little novelty. The Rough Rider 2313, the Tadpole. Micarta G10, or it's G10 micarta looking scales. There you go, standoffs, lanyard hole there, and with the brass standoff in it, and again the spring-loaded flipper tab. There is my modern locking folder for the video. And finally, let's talk a little more about this little pocket knife. This is the 2647 Jumbo Trapper. Almost 17 inches when opened up. You've got about an 8.5 inch handle length on that, including the 2 head and the tail bolsters, nickel silver, crimped double flutes, 6-pin construction on those pack-a-wood scales, nickel silver on those pins, and you have 2 8-inch long blades. We open it up, there is the clip blade. Nice crescent moon nail nick. It says Rough Rider in both spellings because both spellings have been used for the brand over the last 30 years. The reverse are logoed with a 30 in the center. Always hand-built, backed for life. Their slogans. And if we close that up and open up the other blade, both blades say 440A steel on them. Here is the 8-inch long spade blade. Nail nick on the same side with the clip out toward the edge of that blade. And again, both spellings of the Rough Rider with the original Lucky Horseshoe shield insignia with 30 in the middle. And again, there was this Trapper Jumbo and a Jumbo Stockman released in 2024, celebrating 30 years of the Rough Rider brand. So there are my 3 knives. Preposterous Proportions. So, tell me, did I do okay? Because I'll show you 2 other knives I considered for the video, but I thought these were even more preposterous than their counterparts. So, let me show you those knives. I thought maybe for the slip joint, we would use this little gem. Smallest slip joint. I have this little pen knife, and actually it's more of a jackknife because we have 2 blades. This is the Buck Deuce. We have a little clip point blade, and then you have a little ram's foot coping blade on this little gem. So I thought maybe using that one, but it seemed kind of small, and there are more small pen knives, so I thought this was the better choice for kind of the preposterous proportions theme. If I set that aside, now for the modern locking folder, I have this little gem. Now this is another small modern locking folder. This is the Lander 5, which was produced by Ben over there at NAF's company, and he brought this out last year. It shipped around Thanksgiving, and is just a nice little 5th pocket modern locking folder. His goal with this was basically to make this a boy's or a girl's first knife, so they could own a modern locking folder, but it would be small and easy for, say, a young teen or a preteen to operate and carry. All right, this runs about $30 to $35 depending on which website or dealer you buy these from, or if you get them direct, but this is the NAF's Lander 5. So I was going to use this as my modern locking folder, but I said, hey, it kind of can't compete with the angry watermelon or the tadpole as far as size, right? So these are my choices, but down in the comments, if you would, I would like for you to tell me your two choices for these knives. Would you pick the Lander 5 or the tadpole for your choice on the Preposterous Proportions video if you were making it, or do you pick the Buck Deuce or the 30th Jumbo Trapper? Which of two choices would you make if you were making this video? And just put your two choices as single words. So Rough Rider Tadpole or Lander 5, and then put Jumbo Trapper or Buck Deuce. And what I'm going to do is a secret giveaway. So whoever wins the giveaway, I will sort your comments. You have to have those two choices in the body of your comment so that I use that as the entry. I doubt I'm going to have that many entries, so we'll go through them. We'll go ahead and make a list of names, and then we'll choose a random winner for this NAFS Lander 5 in a black washed steel as a modern locking folder. That's going to do it for me. Of course, you've got to be 18 years or older, live in the continental United States, have a U.S. shipping address, all the standard rules, but I'll cover that in the description of this video along with what answers you need to provide. And I appreciate you tuning in. This is Byron with Splitting Slices saying split a slice with a friend soon. We'll leave that giveaway open for maybe 7 to 10 days, and then I'll use a random comment picker and pick a list from a winner. That's going to do it. Until my next video, everybody, please take care.